Forgianos in the parking lot, hanging with the dealers. I just went and bought another watch. I just made a super stretch, think I need another pot. The Bougie got some super cat, I just bought another watch. Maddox and baguettes, yeah, that's a super flex. About to turn up on my ex, yeah, that's a super flex. I wake up every day just to flex, yeah. Wake up every day just to flex, yeah. Just the realest in the building, nigga. Anytime it come round, packing trap.
What's poppin', family? You know who it is, King B the Great, coming at you with another video on that sauce. I like to send a shout out to everybody who's been rocking with the King from the very beginning, and I want to give a shout out to all my new subscribers. Peace to all y'all. I'm sending mad love to all y'all. Peace to all y'all, my new subscribers. I love y'all, and I'm not gonna keep y'all long on this video. I just wanted to send a shout out to y'all. My channel is growing, and I love y'all for that, you know. And like it cause you love it. What? I got a couple videos I want y'all to see. Shout out to HN Newsroom, and shout out to BNC News. What?
Profile yet unpopular clients. She famously represented Bill Cosby on his appeal before the Pennsylvania Supreme Court concerning his 2018 sexual assault conviction, which ultimately got overturned, and Cosby walked out of prison a free man. Now she's taking on a new client, R. Kelly, who was convicted in September of sex trafficking and racketeering charges and currently faces life in prison for those crimes. Joining me now is Kelly's new legal counsel, Jennifer Bongine herself. Counselor, happy to have you on the show. Welcome.
Thank you for having me, Yodi.
Okay, Jennifer, so I'm going to start this conversation by asking you the most obvious question, one I'm sure you get all the time. Why would you defend R. Kelly?
I approach every case the same way. And I look and I say, has there been a miscarriage of justice? And in my mind, a miscarriage of justice occurs when the government oversteps, when they overreach, when they violate someone's constitutional right to a fair trial. And then I ask myself, is there anything I can do about it? Can I possibly get this individual some type of remedy, some type of relief? And when I looked at R. Kelly's case, I found that both of those things were true. And so I had no reservations about taking R. Kelly's case. What I see was a travesty of justice and how the process worked. And when the process doesn't work, the outcomes are not fair, they're not righteous. And as a result, I took R. Kelly's case. And I pass on cases, but this is a case that I felt satisfied both of those requirements.
And that's because you think that the government abused the RICO statute in order to get around issues of statute of limitations, right? And so for people who may think I'm talking legalese here, there were accusations for decades against R. Kelly. Those accusations, cases, whatever it may be, were old, and so they couldn't be tried in a court of law. But to get around that, prosecutors use this statute, the RICO, which most people would associate with like big drug lords, to get around that in order to get R. Kelly on these charges. That's what you're talking about when you're talking about a miscarriage of justice, correct?
I mean, it's more than that. First of all, the government could have charged R. Kelly along many years ago, many times over, with whatever crimes they believe that he committed. Now, they didn't do that many times. We know there was a case back in I think in the mid-aughts out of Cook County, and he was found not guilty of that case. But the government could have brought charges, and they chose not to for whatever reasons. And now they have brought charges against him under RICO, which, yes, was designed to get at criminal enterprises, mafia, large drug operations run by gangs. And they are doing that, yes, to plead around the statute of limitations. But even more problematic in my mind is they use this statute in order to overwhelm the jury with other crimes evidence or other bad act evidence. It doesn't even have to be another crime. So really what they're doing is putting someone's life on trial. And that ends up being not really a fair fight It's one thing to defend against a specific charge. That is fair. But when you bring in these crimes, these alleged crimes under the RICO Act, you're really putting someone in a position where they have to defend 30 years of their entire life. And that, I think, is not a fair fight, because it doesn't give, you don't have fair notice on what they're coming at you with. There's allegations that date back 30 years, and there are sometimes it's very difficult for particularly high-profile people. 30 years. Oh, do I even know this person? Where was I? How can I defend against that? So it's not a fair fight. And then they brought claims under the Mann Act, and the Mann Act has been historically problematic, and it was no less problematic in this case as well. I believe that the government misused those statutes in order to gain convictions against R. Kelly that were not fair, and there's much that the jury didn't hear that they should have heard.
Jennifer, I'm a lawyer too, so I understand what you're saying, and I'm able to think about this in a logical, obviously legal way, setting aside my emotion. But for the lay person, the person that's watching right now, and who's watched our coverage of R. Kelly's trial, who believe that he's finally being held accountable for abusing Black women and girls, they don't care about a fair fight, right? They be creative. They're probably thinking, hey, however way the government could do it, they finally did, and it's done. I don't care. Explain why it matters to everyone ultimately that we essentially, there's a checks and balances when it comes to prosecution.
Yeah, that's right. And I can appreciate that there's emotions that run high, and people don't necessarily value how the government goes about getting what they consider to be justice. But when the government runs amok, right now it's R. Kelly, tomorrow it's somebody else. And maybe it's someone you care about tomorrow. Maybe it's a loved one of yours. To keep the government honest and to keep them in check, the system has to work for all of us, the R. Kellys of the world, the Bill Cosbys of the world, and then people that we don't even know. And so my job is to make sure the government does it the fair way. And if they didn't do it fair, it just doesn't count. It's like if you cheat during a football game and you want to declare victory, you can't because you cheated. And it is my job to hold the government responsible and to hold their feet to the fire. And I believe that was not done. It hasn't been done, but we're hoping to do it.
And there you go, family. You heard what the lady said. You heard what she said. She's in it to win it. And R. Kelly may be coming home if she get this right. And I got another video I want y'all to see. Bam!
And What's Your Say? The #1 listening show, where we discuss real issues with real people like you. We are still featuring R. Kelly, real name Robert Sylvester Kelly, also known as the R&B King. During the R. Kelly interview with Gayle King, R. Kelly said a few things in his defense that many failed to understand, including Gayle King herself. The R&B King took a moment to comment about the disturbing allegation that he used to kidnap people and hold them hostage in his Atlanta mansion. According to R. Kelly, he doesn't see why anyone would expect him to do such a thing, and he went ahead to say that it would be the stupidest thing for him to do. It is at this point that Robert asked whether the reporter's camera was on him, and he looked directly into it, emphasizing how stupid it would be of him to keep people hostage in his $1 million mansion, except if they had to go down to the shopping mall to buy a few cloths, or to pick some shoes from their guests. These, I believe, are things Kelly let his live-in girlfriends do while they stayed with him, and according to him, proof that he held nobody hostage. On the matter of racketeering, where it is alleged that R. Kelly needed the help of his colleagues and staff to help him lure victims to himself, apart from simply referring to his celebrity status, some pictures and videos online will make you think otherwise. There are several videos of R. Kelly on stage literally being molested by female fans who passionately touched every bit of his body in a sensual manner, getting kind of kinky with him. And then there is yet another video that was rather extreme in which the kinkiness was taken to another level. Some of the things that the female fans are seen doing to Kelly are not far from the same kinky behavior that was declared criminal by the jury of 6, during the September 2021 New York trial. A fan goes as far as wiping R. Kelly's tongue and massaging his private areas. Watching this video makes you think, why is this guy in prison? Yet video evidence clearly shows that in many circumstances, he may have not been the initiator of things. I want to believe that everyone knows for sure that things people do in their bedrooms are sometimes surprisingly beyond imagination. And as people have different preferences of how bedroom business should go, some things one does may shock you, while some things you do will also in turn shock other people. So if the jury of 6 was shocked by R. Kelly's bedroom business, this does not necessarily mean R. Kelly himself wouldn't be shocked by what these 6 people that judged him would present as their own preferences given a chance. Just like they say, one man's meat is another man's poison. We shouldn't be judging people by their preferences. The jury should have looked out for actual physical evidence of abuse and not the talks of regret. Unless they want to fault R. Kelly for psychological abuse as opposed to physical, but how do you determine this form of abuse? Very difficult. Looking at all these points raised therefore, one may wonder why R. Kelly is still in the MDC languishing with murderers and burglars, and risking getting 10 years to life in the same place as real criminals. One thing I know for sure is that even a couple that has spent 30 years in marriage may have certain things they did in the past which they no longer find appropriate, that if the woman was later disappointed by the man, the woman would probably blame all that unpleasant history on the man. How would this same jury of 6 judge such a case? One would probably say the circumstances surrounding the matter would determine this. Perhaps to mean that if the man is a renowned African-American celebrity like R. Kelly, he would be found guilty for getting kinky with his own wife as always. This analysis shows clearly that there is indeed an element of playing double standards while passing some of these judgments. Why should something be wrong only because it's been done by R. Kelly? I want to believe that there should be a set of acceptable evidence for each case. Without evidence of physical abuse, missing person reports, calls to the police and failed attempts to escape, no one should be found guilty of kidnap or any such crimes as R. Kelly was. According to Marina, the issue we have with the R. Kelly case is the inconsistency in evidence narration, presentation and judgment at the highest level. This guy is on trial for his bedroom preferences, nothing else. You may think this is unique to him, but such harassment is the reason the gay community is struggling for their rights around the world. It shouldn't be illegal to be different. And it shouldn't cost you when your partner's preferences change over time. If you had a responsibility of feeding a child, and at age 6 she preferred sweet foods that could make them lose their teeth, and then later at 15 one changes to prefer less sweet products, why then should it become criminal the feeding you provided at age 6? According to Millender, I may agree if someone said that there were people in R. Kelly's mansion who never wanted to return home, yes. But not because they were prohibited by anybody. There is a big difference between forced stay and free will. Prosecutors therefore need to decide on what to call the crime of staying with people that don't want to go home, if there is any such crime anyway. But they should desist from calling it kidnap. Otherwise it is such mistakes by prosecution that will likely win R. Kelly a retrial. Every time such mistakes are identified, the more obvious it becomes that R. Kelly could have been convicted wrongfully. I have watched kidnap movies ever since I was born, and I saw nothing typical of kidnap in this R. Kelly situation. If a kidnap movie was derived from R. Kelly's life, I think it would be the most boring movie Hollywood ever made, where the act does not in any way match the storyline, and one would probably ask at the end of the movie, what was the title again? According to Robin Taylor, how can one man hold that many people hostage while at the same time traveling the world, holding tours here and there? The prosecution make it sound like R. Kelly owned a detention center similar to the MDC. I want to believe whoever Robert shared his home with could come and go as they pleased. Use common sense. If you think about it, this was an orchestra plot to get rid of him, to steal his money and more. The story just doesn't make any damn sense to me. Why at any one time didn't his captives call 911 and ask to be rescued? One may assume they never had access to a phone or something of the sort, but how on earth for 20 years can this go on with no report to attract a serious police investigative search? It is also said that artists came to the house and saw his so-called hostages move around and about the building, and none of them was described to have been in chains or physically hurt in any way whatsoever. According to Precious Kincannon, wrongful convictions have become common in our country just like this one, but nothing is going to stop R. Kelly from walking free. However, something has to change in our legal system. Otherwise, who knows how many of our great citizens are languishing in prison, yet they could be very innocent. Put yourself in the shoes of such a person and imagine how badly they should be thinking of their own country. Anything to avoid wrongful convictions should be treated with utmost urgency here in the United States, and the mission should start with the R. Kelly case. That is all we had for you today on HN What's Your Say? To keep updated whenever we post a new video, subscribe to this channel now. Also,
and there you have it, folks. I'm praying for you, R. Kelly. I'm praying for you, R. Kelly. I'm praying that you get out and you get released as soon as possible. Let R. Kelly free. Let R. Kelly go. And I want to give a shout out to Free Jamal Rashad and Free Nature Boy. Free the Three God. Well, family, that's all I have for you. You know what I'm saying? Until next time, I love y'all. Be safe. Stay out the way of the ops, the police. Now we rise.
Be a me. City big on flexing, Forgianos in the parking lot. Hanging with the dealers, I just went and bought another watch. I just made a super stretch, think I need another pint. Gucci got some super cat, I just bought another watch. Magic simple gets, yeah, that's a super flex. About to turn up on my ex, yeah, that's a super flex. I wake up every day just to flex, yeah. Wake up every day just to flex, yeah. Just the realest in the building, nigga, anytime it come round. Packing, trapping, stacking all day until the sundown. The city they get at the better watch you ever around.